I am super excited to be joined on stage by Drew and Karen to talk about cultural moments and how brands can connect with culture. Would love to kick things off by learning a little bit more about both of you on both the professional and personal side. What are some big cultural moments coming up that you're excited by, whether it's something your brands are activating around or just something that connects with your personal interests? Karen, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Great to see you. If you're not up here and you can hear me, you should come up here because we might have a little something for you in a minute. I'm Karen Harris. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, I lead our Tequila and Mezcal business at Diageo. And to answer your question about cultural moments, what am I excited by? So I'm a lifelong sports fan. I love all sports. And one of the biggest sporting events that we are going to have the opportunity to experience here in North America, the FIFA World Cup. Woo woo! Very excited personally for that one. At Diageo, so we are for the first time going to be supporters of the FIFA World Cup. It's our first time. It's the first time they've had spirits as official supporters of the World Cup. So we're really excited to bring Don Julio and Casamigos, two of our largest tequila brands, to life during that moment. So really looking forward to that.
Awesome. What about you, Drew?
Well, I mean, that segues quite nicely. So same thing for Lay's. So Lay's is going to be at the World Cup, bigger and better than ever. We've had some forays in the Premier League and La Liga, but just showing up on that stage and those moments, I just can't wait. I can't wait to see it come to life. I know we have some tricks up our sleeves in terms of some creative concepts. So yeah, that's just going to be absolutely massive. And hopefully one of us can get a ticket because my goodness, the price tags are a little high. So, but yeah, whether or not I'm at the game or not, but yeah, just enjoying the TV with friends and family and eating some Lay's. Looking forward to it. Yeah,
I mean, this is a great place to pitch for tickets. Somebody at this event has got to have some to spare. So I want to echo the excitement about the World Cup. I grew up in the UK, so football, read soccer is all important when you're part of that culture. But I think for me as well, being on the creative side, an influencer marketing agency, I'm always excited by those cultural moments we don't see coming, whether it's the next big trend that's hopping off online, the kiss cam moment that catches everybody by unawares. So I think there's the moments we plan for, and then the ones that take us all by surprise and we have to react to quickly. Would love to kind of kick off by asking, it sounds great, brands being connected to culture. Both of you work with iconic brands that are really connected to culture. But do you think every brand should connect to culture? And would love to start with you, Karen, to speak about that.
Sure. What I would start by saying is, in terms of participating in, well, of course, hold on, I'm going to pause right here. And I believe they're all heading out. So there you go. Thank you. This is Don Julio 1942. Let's raise a glass. Salud to you all.
Salud, slancha.
Salud, salancha, cheers. Enjoy. Thank you, brand innovators. That is a way to get this weekend kicked off. All right.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so back to your question. All right. Look, the way that I look at it in terms of brands participating in culture, does every brand have to participate? I would say it's in your brand DNA. It's about what your brand stands for to consumers. It's about understanding and recognizing what your brand represents for consumers. But really, to me, the key is brands really have to earn their place in culture. You can't chase culture. Yep. You can't find it, chase it, insert yourself. You have to earn it, and it takes time. And what I would say is 1942, that hopefully you're all enjoying now. 1942 is one of those brands that's really earned it over time. It's really a symbol of celebration to consumers. One of the great examples of this is we've been a part of the Academy, the Oscars, the Academy Awards for over 15 years. We've built this relationship over 15 years. Year before last, if you saw, we had the opportunity to be integrated into the live show. The first alcohol brand to be integrated into the live show at the Oscars with Jimmy Kimmel and Guillermo. And it was a huge moment for a brand. What we thought was going to be a 5-second little blip ended up being more like a 30-second, 1-minute bit that was an incredible cheers that went viral. It was amazing. But that, I think people looked at it and was like, wow, that's once in a lifetime. That happens once in a lifetime. But honestly, that is something that we've been building those relationships for 15 years. Jimmy Kimmel's a very close friend of the brand. They're all part of our familia, Guillermo. That's something that happened because of relationships. It's because we earned it. It's because we put the work in to build ourselves in that light as a brand that represents celebration. We didn't chase it. We earned it. So
I would have loved to know what it was like to be with you and the rest of the team as that moment that was going to be a quick blip kind of extended into something more. What was that moment like for you?
You've never seen someone's hands shake as hard as my hands were shaking in that moment. It was incredible. It was electric, incredible, scary, amazing, all the things.
Congratulations. Drew, what about you? What do you think? Does every brand deserve a place in culture, or should they chase it?
I think we're hitting the nail on the head here. It's about preparation. So, and that preparation can come with experience, can come with understanding of the brand, knowing what the brand is. So 2 things we do. One, I know I've heard a couple people today say that go-to-market planning, comms planning is kind of outdated. You need to be reactive. But at least it sets you on a North Star. It sets you like on your guiding compass, like who you are. And then you're able to be ready for those moments that if they are relevant, if they are, resonating with the consumer, then you can take advantage of those. So for us, I was shamelessly plugging my brands. So thanks to the team at Brand Innovators for getting some Frito pie here. We have the walking taco. But for us, it was leaning into Yellowstone. So you think about young, modern country culture, making that kind of cool and in again, it's not your dad's country. It's like, the new wave of country. And so when those moments come up, then you're able to work with a partner like Paramount and integrate, really purposefully into the show. And all of a sudden Frito kind of gets that little modernization. It's not the old corn chips. We have Honey Twist, we have a bunch of different products, and it just becomes that much more relevant, and it fits, right? The consumer sees it and they're not thinking it's just a logo slap like we were talking about earlier. It really fits into the show. So preparation, being ready, and that moment strikes, go ahead and pounce on it.
Absolutely. And I love how both of you are speaking to brand DNA and what's authentic for brands. I think sometimes brands can even be ahead of culture, right? We do a lot of work with Danone and with Activia, a brand that was talking about gut health way before gut talk was a thing, and girls were talking openly and women about their struggles with their gut health. And so being able to mobilize and having the systems in place for when that moment comes, being able to show up with the authenticity as a brand is all important. Obviously, I come from the world of creator marketing, so you knew I had to ask. I'd love to know how you think about creators as, connectors to culture. What is the role that they're playing for your brands and in your ecosystem? So, Drew, maybe start with you this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as close. Obviously, I said this a couple times, but on the media side, it's more about finding the endemic platform for those creators in those moments where you can connect with a one-to-one basis of someone that's either fanning your flame. That's an instructional video. It could be micro, macro. So I think a lot of times for us on the culture side, it's more of a brand decision. We're a very cautious brand. We were just having discussions about, you have tequila, but then you have some of the chips that, we got to worry about the nutrition. We got to worry about so many different things, and we can't just show up anywhere. So for us on this culture side, it's a little bit more of a cautious approach, a little bit of a wait and see approach. We're a little bit of an older brand and company, and I think there's a second mover advantage to that, right? You can see some of the missteps that people have taken. I think we've all seen some of the pitfalls the past couple of years of certain brands trying to do something too catchy or too kind of cliche, and it kind of backfires on them. So I'm actually kind of proud that we take that approach. And so my job is just to make sure that I can find that creator that the brand is okay with, but then the right platform and then the right message and the right vehicle, the right duration. How many times do you see it? Where do you see it? So that it doesn't become just disingenuous. So for me, it's more about protecting that brand and making sure that in that ecosystem or that platform, they're experiencing the brand that the consumer and legal teams are happy with.
Yeah, a follow up there. So when we think about creators, we often think about leveraging them for 2 things, for content, but then also for influence. So on the media side, are you seeing creator content as fuel for your media that's going out from the brand's handle? Are you leveraging allow listing or whitelisting to take advantage of the creator's audience? How would you rank the kind of influence they have and the people they reach versus the content creation in terms of importance?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And I would actually kind of slightly pivot there that what we're seeing, and we're talking about a lot about relevancy, is the attention. So attention metrics, dwell times, we're seeing people not skip our ads. Those influencers are actually engaging with the audience. And so like that's huge for us. And then in terms of amplifying those voices, yes. I was talking earlier about Thomas Rhett when he picked up a bag of the walking taco and just did it. And we're like, can you just post on this? So it's about pouncing on those opportunities. Now he's broadcasting that out to God knows how many people out there, and now you're magnifying that. So you're so right that you can find those little white spaces of opportunities to, and then the 5-second spot we're talking about for Diageo, right? Like how do you magnify it? I just thought it'd be like a little blip. Those little blips can turn into like massive moments. So preparation, I think we're coming back to a lot here.
Awesome. Karen, what about you? How do you think about creators with connecting with culture?
Creators for us are incredibly important. We look at it as, and look, I think there's been a big shift actually recently where I think creators really took a role as interpreters of culture and of brands in many ways. I think that's changed now. I really think that they are more architects of culture and architects with brands in culture. And I really believe in co-creation when it comes to creators. I want to bring in creators that share the same values as us. I want to bring in creators that think the way our brand thinks, that believe in our brand, that have passion for our brand. And I really do think co-creation has been an unlock for us. So all of the creators that we bring in with the intent of creating content with them. We bring in with the intent of creating work with them, and we want to let them free. That's why we're bringing them on. They're incredibly powerful in their own cultural curation, their own ability to architect and create culture. So we bring them in to do that. Willie Chavarria for us has been a great example of that. Willie, we've been friends with for many years. Again, someone who's in our Don Julio familia. It's really what we call, like, once we bring somebody in, we want to work with them for a long period of time. We're not trying to bring them in and work for one little blip. These are relationships. It's our familia. It's who we want to surround our brands. And Willie Chavarria is a great example of that. We've co-created 2 bottles with him now for Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, and incredibly proud of building that relationship over time and using our shared values to bring products to life for consumers. So co-creation.
And just to quickly build on that, I couldn't agree more. Just had to say that we're finding that as well. It's once you find something that works, like we're so quick to pivot and like just find the next star, the next like creator or whatever, but like they become part of the brand. So it's great to hear that we found some of the success with like Dude Perfect for Ruffles. Like they believe in the brand. They don't take themselves too seriously. They love basketball. Like there's so many connective points there. It's not just a campaign. So I had to speak up real quick. I was like, that means so much to me because as a person, as a consumer, you want that brand to feel like that they're not just throwing another creator at you. Like it's literally an extension of the brand. So couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, and as a consumer, I think about, the early years of influencer, right? The first beauty YouTubers that I followed, I know if they've been using the same brand of concealer for the last 10, 15 plus years because I've lived it alongside them. The title of this panel is From Reach to Relevance. So I hear relevance kind of thrown around a lot. Always prefer when people say relevance rather than relevancy, pet peeve. But how do you go about quantifying relevance and what does relevance mean to each of your brands? Karen, maybe start with you.
Relevance for us is all about participation. All right, for me, it's about who's participating with our brand. And we want to see that shared content. I think that's the biggest signal for us. I mean, there's lots of metrics, there's lots of studies, there's lots of research. But at the end of the day, I really do believe it comes down to participation. I think it comes down to how brands interact with their consumer. And when you start to see them share your content, when you see them commenting, when you see them even creating off of your content and then sharing it, it's about the shared development and the sharing of the brand experience with consumers. So participation for me is everything, and it's more than any research. Research is important. Data is very important. But I just think when you see that participation and you see that engagement and genuine joy that people get from your brand, that's the power.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to hit it is advocacy, right? Like engendering loyalty. I couldn't agree more. And so for a lot of our brands, when we're thinking about relevancy, we try to make sure that not only are we being relevant and we're finding that that person then becomes an advocate, but also digging a little bit deeper. Why did they become an advocate? Why are they loyal? Is it the taste? Is it the brand love? Is it something cultural? We've been talking about a lot of culture today. And so I think for our brands and the way we show up, and I say this ad nauseum, but why are they becoming an advocate? Why are they becoming loyal? It's because probably we're either relevant in a certain time for them. So we just had a discussion about, football or like certain seasons where maybe Tostitos or Fritos could play nicely with some of your brands.
Tostitos and some tequila. I'm just saying.
I know. It makes too much sense, right? We should. All right, we have some work to do on our way back on our flights home. But yeah, and then meaning and differentiation. I just keep harping on those. It's why are you relevant? It's got to mean something to you. It's got to be different. It's got to be unique. And so what we're able to do at PepsiCo is actually track that with some brand health scorecards. And what that allows us to do in our go-to-market planning, going back to connecting it back to the comms efforts, where are we kind of losing some of that consumer sentiment? Why aren't they being an advocate? Why aren't they, so loyal anymore? Well, maybe it's because we don't really mean that much. There's new brands that mean more, or maybe there's another brand that's more relevant in that time frame. We're losing share because now if you look at shelf or mineral availability, there's so many more brands to compete with us. So how do we really drive that in? So we're actually starting to track that. It's not all about, ROI and effectiveness. It is about relevancy and tying that back to brand growth metrics.
Yeah, I love how we took a question that was about quantification and then flew the flag for qual a little bit up here. Love to see it. I want to underline, look to the comments, whether it's the comments on your brand's content, the comments on your influencers' content. We have a tool that uses AI to bubble up the top themes so you don't need to scroll through hundreds or thousands of comments to understand what people are saying. And I think also look to comments to inspire campaigns, right? Like looking at the CeraVe campaign, one of the strongest kind of talent-led campaigns of recent years. That was from the Shower Thoughts subreddit about what if Michael Cera was actually head of CeraVe, and they latched onto that. We do some work with Kiss USA, which is a Korean beauty company, and for one of their products found a comment on Reddit with somebody saying that they're a dental hygienist who washes her hands 50 times a day and her nails stay on and last the week. And I'm like, wow, that is an insight and that is influence more than somebody who is a beauty creator. Karen, love to turn to you now. I know that your brands have been connected to some cultural moments and tentpole events year over year. So would love to learn how those partnerships have evolved and the changes in your approach over those long-term relationships.
It's a really good one. There are a number of cultural moments that we've been a part of year after year, as I mentioned. I think that how it's changed over time, I would say recently, we've been moving more to community focus, identity focus. We are a Mexican brand. We are a brand that was grown, created, and still made in Mexico. And so we've been doing a lot of work around our roots and our heritage and our identity as a brand. Super Bowl is one of those cultural moments that we've been a part of year after year. And this past year, I think, is a great example of some of the shifts and changes that we've been making as we've invested in Super Bowl activations. So this year, we decided there's a lot of hype over the Super Bowl halftime show. And we, as the only Latin brand that it was a sponsor, Latin-speaking brand that was a sponsor of the NFL and of the Super Bowl this year, the official tequila of Super Bowl, we felt like we had a natural opportunity to participate in that conversation. And so we said, all right, how can we be a part of this conversation that's happening in culture, but do it in a way that's really authentic to us and authentic to our DNA, authentic to our brand. So we partnered up this year with Young Miko. If you haven't seen Young Miko, actually, she just was featured in the new Gap work that just came out if Gap's here, great job. She's amazing. Young Miko, she's Puerto Rican. She has come up with Bad Bunny. She was one of his DJs. She's incredible, a real voice in Latin culture. And we partnered her with Drewski, who we know is, full of comedic talent. And we put the two of them together to really show and bring consumers in of how they can enjoy Don Julio and also get ready for the Bad Bunny halftime show, right? And so we had so much fun making this content with them. And back to the point around co-creation, we really handed it over to those two, and they put together this incredible story, this episodic story that happened across how to order a drink in Spanish. How do you go to the bar and order a drink in Spanish while you're watching the Super Bowl? How do you do the salsa and bachata? And the two of them were doing the bachata together. I mean, it's just like incredibly rich co-created content with those two creators that really highlighted our heritage and our place of existing in that moment and being a part of that moment, while simultaneously, doing something that was really true and to our own heritage. And then we took over San Francisco. We had Latin parties all over San Francisco, and we had a great time. Cardi B kicked it off for us as another force in Latin culture. And again, I really, it's something that we've evolved to. I think identity and community, seeing themselves in your work, is incredibly important, and that's where we moved a lot of our cultural work to.
Yeah, and I think you've kind of anticipated some of my follow-up in what you're talking about around co-creation, but wanted to ask if there are any watch-outs or advice you were giving to other brands when we see this intersection of culture with identity, right, and connecting with different folks of different heritages, for instance, folks of Mexican or Mexican-American heritage. Any advice for other brands in the room that might be wanting to do the same but are a little nervous?
It's a great question. I think two pieces, and I think the first is back to the DNA. I think we feel as a brand of Mexican heritage that we have an onus to represent the culture in a way that is true to the culture. And I think that takes a lot of learning, a lot of listening. I think it takes a lot of surrounding yourselves with the right talent, the right creators. And it really is about being true to who you are and your heritage. And I think for us, it's of utmost importance that we represent that culture in the most authentic way possible. I think the other piece is making sure, like I just said, that the community, whether it's Mexican or whatever it may be, sees themselves in the work. Otherwise, you're forcing your brand in versus making your brand a part of the culture and the community. And so for us, it's really about doing that in every turn and putting Mexican culture on a pedestal in everything that we do. So
awesome. It sounds like it was quite a party at Super Bowl. So congrats again.
Yeah,
Drew,
I was just going to build on that real quick that I just feel like I'm agreeing with a lot you're saying, but it's almost like fanning the flames. Like, how are you maximizing those properties? How are you like making sure you're leveraging the talent? Other thing that I come in my background is a little bit more retail focused performance. So it's an old outdated term, but like full funnel. So for like Lay's, leveraging that tentpole event to not only talk about real potatoes and the fact that, it's all quality ingredients. We've been doing it forever, but do you want a fresh bag? Do you want a fresh bag? Well, we can get it to your doorstep in 72 hours. Like, that's genius, because not only are you showing and demonstrating what the product's for on the biggest stage of the world, but it's also now multi-purpose, a multifaceted campaign. And the way we got there was having more people in the room for those tentpole events. So surrounding ourselves with creative, commerce, like the fact that an e-commerce team would be involved with a Super Bowl campaign, like this is kind of obviously definitely a new kind of from to for us, but it was massive. And that was the unlock that came from that team, was to say, how can we get this? And now we're collecting first party data. Now we sold out of chips in a record amount of time. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of things. So I really appreciate what you said there, like maximizing that real estate. How can you fan those flames, not only from a cultural standpoint and getting the followers, but also maybe a bottom line, and so the more mindful you can be of those big opportunities, I think that's where the CEOs, the CMOs get on board. Like, yeah, wow, now this ROI is starting to make sense, right? It's not just this obvious like big price tag that you're dealing with. The marketing team is actually making this worth the investment.
Just to add on to that, it's also about risk taking.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be comfortable taking risks, and you got to build a culture around it, because if you're going to react to culture, if you're going to be a part of culture, it moves fast. There's no time to get everyone in a room and sit and I mean, you've got to take risks, and you've got to be in a situation where you are creating the culture in your business, whatever that is, to take those risks.
Absolutely. Drew, wanted to ask you about PepsiCo. Obviously has such a long history and legacy of connecting with cultural moments. How do you go about balancing that legacy piece with the need to connect with younger consumers who may be unaware of that legacy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for us, a lot of it actually goes, you think about the old school like 4Ps, a lot of it's the product development, product pipeline. How can you sell in those new flavors? I never want to go away from like my hardcore fans. I'm in charge of share as well as incrementality. And so my share comes from, my parents that just love Lay's, or they love their Fritos they get at Costco. And so you have to be careful about alienating some of your core customers and just going to the next generation. I think we do a great job of pipeline development. I'm sure Diageo does the same thing, like new flavors, thinking about new branding. You can kind of connect to the younger consumers in different ways, but one of the keys we've done is always innovating in flavor. We're having a concert tonight for Cheetos Flamin' Hot Dill Pickle, so we're trying to get people involved with that brand, right? We did Bad Bunny before ourselves, so there's ways in to make the brand more relevant and new. But I think my bigger comment here is to make sure that you're not always just chasing that, that there are some massive loyal fans. And I think we've touched on this earlier with the creator content piece. You can't just be chasing the latest all the time, because otherwise it comes across in a negative way, especially for some of your high core consumers that are buying your multi-bag for their kids, that are buying those big bags of chips. So it's just a cautious approach, but I would say our pipeline of innovation really helps foster that growth for the new brands. And then for me, taking care of some of the old guard that gets a lot of my paycheck paid for, right? But Doritos and Lay's pay the bills, right? So you got to be careful of like who your core customers are. You don't want to alienate them.
Absolutely. To finish us out, going to do a quick round of rapid fire. So 1 to 3 word answers, if you can, please. So this may be like asking you each to choose a favorite child, but do you have a favorite product at each of your brands that you work on?
Oh yeah, I do. Don Julio. All right, I don't know if they have it here. Don Julio 70. Has anyone had Don Julio 70? It's Don Julio Cristalino. It is absolutely my favorite product that I work on, and you should all try it if you haven't tried it yet.
Top tip, Drew.
I remember said this before, but glass bottle Gatorade, old school, full sugar. I want it all. And then also lemon lime. Harken back to the days of a hot Texas day, playing sports and popping open. It had the orange cap that would pop up. You would make that sound. Yeah, you knew you're in for a good 32 ounces of greatness there.
What's a trend that you already think is being overhyped at this South by?
I'll go quick. It's pretty easy. It's obviously AI and creators. It's being mindful of those approaches, but yeah, don't lean into it. I'm happy that I work at PepsiCo because we have a second mover advantage. We usually wait and see. It is a very scary space. Obviously, there's a ripe for opportunity, but yeah, just anything net new can be a negative and a positive.
I would say chasing virality versus chasing meaning.
Great. And final question. What's a trend that we should all be talking about more, but we're not talking about enough?
I don't know if it's a trend per se, but product. Let's talk about product more. You mentioned it before. I think a product is something that gets lost in the conversation a lot. And I think it's the center and the heart of ultimately what we're all doing. And I think product, for me, it's about innovation. It's about meeting consumers where they're at. Consumer habits are changing, particularly in the spirit space. And we really have to get creative and innovate to meet consumers where they're at now. So product.
I think it's a perfect way to end product. I'll agree. We have delicious Fritos here, Diageo Tequila, so Yeah, it's a win-win.
Well, on that note, if anyone's got any left, let's raise a glass. Thank you so much for the insights, Drew, Karen, and enjoy the rest of Brand Innovators, everyone.
Fantastic final panel. Give it up for them. Finola, Karen, and Drew, thank you guys so much.